So will consumers save Wall Street?
Our Fox panel is here now to discuss it. They are independent trader Eric Bolling. We have, of course, our friend Charles Payne of WStreet.com, Pat Powell from Powell Financial, Gary Kaltbaum from GaryK.com, and Peter Schiff of Euro Pacific. He is also the author of Crash Proof. Okay, so gang, it makes you wonder, are the consumers really going to be the ones to save Wall Street? Peter, I'll let you take it, especially when we have not great numbers from Home Depot, but pretty decent numbers from Walmart.
Well, remember, it's excess consumer spending. That's one of the reasons we have all these problems to begin with. Remember, consumers borrowed a lot of money and spent it buying houses they couldn't afford. Similarly, you look at our huge trade deficit of $50–60 billion a month. That's all the consumer goods that we're buying that we really can't afford to pay for. So just like we have a bunch of subprime borrowers in this country, we have subprime consumers, meaning we really can't afford all the products that we're buying. And so if Americans go out and spend money they don't have this Christmas, that's nothing to celebrate. We need to stop spending. We need to start saving for a change.
But, Charles, is that short change in Americans? Are we so much of a debtor nation that we're out there just spending nothing but money that we're borrowing?
Absolutely not. Well, look, the real correlation is between employment and consumer spending. Forget about everything else. And the doom and gloom, yeah, it works in consumer sentiment. People hear the story over and over. They hear the Peter Schiffs. They read the local newspapers, and they feel like maybe the world is coming to an end. But after they read all this stuff, and after they tell the surveyor, yeah, I'm feeling bad, they walk into the mall and start spending. But, Peter, you know what really made this a great week, a great number for Walmart? International spending. What's going on with that? Last week, MasterCard had an incredible number, beat by 38 cents because consumers in China and Asia are spending, consumers in Europe are spending. It's not just an American story. By the way, the weak dollar, tremendous for Walmart sales, up 17% for the quarter.
Peter, quickly.
Well, I mean, the weak dollar isn't helping. I know that foreigners are spending money. I was down on my boat this weekend, and there was a boat for sale next door, and there was a Canadian couple that had just come across the border to buy it. They were coming here and buying our boats because they're dirt cheap for them. So the fact that Americans are losing out on things because our currency is so weak is nothing that we should be proud of.
Eric, Peter's out on his dinghy. Just kidding. Just kidding, Peter. I'm sure it's a huge yacht, but what do you think, Eric?
Well, to a certain extent, Peter's right, and don't turn the channel. He's right in that the U.S. consumer can and has slowed down, but that's okay. Charles makes the point that the world consumer is picking up at a rapid pace. Look, we save at about 0 to -1% in the U.S. Chinese save at 50%. 50% of what they make, they save, and they're spending. Indians are spending. They're buying gold. The world is buying things. Let me just kind of qualify what I see going on here. I think he's right. I think Peter's right. You stay away from the retail stocks because there may be a little bit of a slowdown in consumer spending, but you stick with the international companies that Charles points out, and they'll make up the slack, and your portfolio will be in good shape.
But, Pat, are you seeing any bargains, though? Consumer discretionary stocks, whether it's retailers or restaurants, the second hardest hit group in the S&P behind financials, aren't there not any bargains there at all?
There's bargains, but I think you have to be incredibly selective. The story started with Home Depot having terrible earnings and Walmart having pretty impressive earnings, given how big they are. But I think Charles has it exactly right. Walmart is an American story, but it's an international story. 3,000 stores are outside the United States, only 4,100 inside the United States. They're on their way to a 50-50 international company. So these are important things to pay attention to.
So when you're looking to pick stocks, Pat, do you go with the companies that have that so-called global footprint?
Absolutely. I think you would be foolish in this environment not to have pay attention to global markets and not to pay attention to where a company's earnings are coming from.
That being said, though, don't try and pick the bottom on some of these stocks. Some of these retail and department store stocks have just been horrendous. They're down 20, 25, 30%. Nordstrom down 25%, Federated down 24%, Walmart flat for 2 years. Stay away from those things that haven't worked. They're not going to work. Things that did work in the past. Tech worked. The world hasn't changed that much. Tech took a little breather last couple of days.
Let's bring Gary K in here. Gary K, where are you, man?
Well, I'm on my 150-foot yacht right now. And look, first off, retail stocks have been in a bear market. They are bouncing today only because they have been destroyed. I mean, some absolutely crushed. If you look at just a picture of Nordstrom's or Kohl's or J.C. Penney, so I'd be careful about that. On the other end of the spectrum, look, we have been hearing for years the death of the consumer, and it just never seems to happen. I do realize there's issues out there. I've been calling the issues for the last couple of years, whether it be the decline in housing and not being able to use your house as an ATM anymore. I'm just not sure I'm there yet, that the end of the world is at hand. Would I buy retail stocks? I have a couple of names that I like Decker's Outdoor Footwear, Nike. These held up the best. These are leadership. The rest of the area I would not touch. I think there are a lot better places in the market. And as far as Christmas, I'm going to call it okay. I think we have an okay Christmas. Not great, not good, but not bad like some people think.
And Walmart did say, Peter, that electronics are selling. So are you saying that is not at least a small optimistic sign?
Look, again, I don't think that excess consumer spending, remember, consumption is the ends, not the means. Consumption is the rewards for economic growth. It doesn't produce it. Unfortunately, you know, we've borrowed so much money to consume in the past that our future consumption is going to be sacrificed. You know, these countries like in China where they're saving 50%, they're sowing the seeds for future consumption. Certainly, consumption all over the world is going to grow.
Hey, Peter, that's it. Hold on. We got to take a quick break, guys. The Dow Jones Industrial's up 227 points. We will be right back. Stay tuned.